A mum of two was publicly trolled last week after she left her children alone in a supermarket car park. She's since hit back, stating what she was doing wasn't wrong.
Well, this has opened up the discussion on whether it is OK to leave your children alone in the car. We're joined today by Georgina Fuller and Lottie Daly, who have very different views on this subject. And welcome to both of you. So, where do you stand on this, ladies? Georgina, let's start off with you, first of all. You say that you sort of parent as your parents treated you.
Absolutely. So I'm an 80s child and I'm the product of a very liberal mum, and I was left in the car and I was allowed to go out on my bike and I was allowed to go and ride and I was given lots of freedom and independence. So I have a similar approach with my own children. They don't have to be... I don't have to watch them every second of the day. I want them to learn how to think for themselves and sort of develop basic life skills.
And how old are your children?
So my eldest just turned 10, my youngest is 4, and my 6-year-old is about to turn 7. So they're all at school now. We're kind of through the toddler stage.
Yeah. OK,
yeah.
All right.
2 boys and a girl.
And Lottie, for you, this is slightly different. Your parents are very different with you.
I hugely disagree with this. I think in the 80s, yeah, absolutely. For me, I hated it. It made me so anxious. One time I was left in the car with my cousins and there was a gale outside and the car was rocking and we were there for ages. And when you're a child, you don't have a concept of time. You don't know how long things are, how long things are going to be like that for. And it really frightened me. And also, hun, we're not in the 80s anymore. We're in, 2019, and there is significant crime now. There's significant worries. There just wasn't there.
Crime.
Not in the same level as there is now. Yeah, but I mean, who really? I mean, come on, Jimmy Savile was on was on TV in the 80s, wasn't he? I mean, we're much more savvy now.
I think that's a very different argument.
But the weirdos are everywhere.
But let's have a look.
What's the likelihood of them? I mean, they might cross the road and run in front of a car, or you might be in a shop and they might be behind you and somebody might try and take them because you're queuing. I mean, I don't think that being in a car is...
Let's look at the story itself. Let's look at the story itself, because Jimmy Savile never took anybody out of a car. No. So he did many horrific things, but that wasn't one of them. So it's a slightly different story. This is a post that was published on Facebook on a group on the 21st of February with a photo of the car and a message which read, who leaves their young kids in the car unattended at Morrison's? I arrived at 8:14. They were fighting in the car. They were still there at 8:20 a.m. when I left. Takes 2 minutes to take your kids out to the car. Better than someone else.
It takes a lot longer than 2
when
minutes.
someone else takes them. I'll just continue with this a second. And then the children were 9 and 4, and they were in the car for 5 minutes, says Yasmin, who's the mum. And she said, in this day and age, she'd gone into Morrison's to use the loo. In this day and age, you can't do anything without somebody having a moan or judging you, and posting other people's kids online is wrong. People must be bored with their own life to moan about someone else's. We're raising a bunch of snowflakes if we can't even let them live on their own for 5 minutes to go for a pee. Now then, so are we raising snowflakes?
No,
the days when you can't actually trust your kids.
I'm with her 100%. I mean, I wouldn't park in a supermarket, probably. I mean, I'd go outside a post office, farm shop, local shop, but I wouldn't judge somebody or slate somebody. I think it's awful that she's been...
So you would do it if you couldn't see them?
Well, no, I generally like to see them, and I'm lucky because I live in a rural area and 9 times out of 10 I can park outside and I can see them in the car, or I'll take one in with me.
So is that the difference? Because I think people have different levels of what they find appropriate. I mean, if you go to a petrol station, do you get all the kids out as you run into the petrol station?
I mean, that would be more dangerous, getting 3 children out on a petrol court with cars going, than it would be than leaving them in the car. So it's kind of risk assessment, isn't it? You weigh up where you are under the circumstances.
You take all the children out?
I absolutely would, yeah. I think that anything can happen, anything. We don't know. Accidents can happen, crashes can happen, something might happen to you when you're in there. Children can let themselves out, they can argue, there's been times when children have damaged themselves
which is the naming and shaming here.
That's wrong.
I mean, the fact that this parent, or we don't know, this person has seen something, taken judgment and posted publicly about this.
I think it's awful.
In a digital age, you've got to expect that. I don't agree with that. I think it's really wrong. I do think you do, yeah. Everybody's got a phone these days. Everybody's doing it. Everybody takes pictures of
other people's children.
Absolutely, that's what people do. They do it with dogs.
I think
you can't leave a dog in a car. Why would you leave a child? It's neglectful parenting.
There isn't a law here that says you can't do it, because the law says that it's an offence to leave a child alone if it places them at risk, and so that is very that's very blurred.
Yeah.
The NSPCC say that children under 12 shouldn't be left alone for a long period of time. Children under 16 shouldn't be left alone overnight. There's no law for dogs in cars, just advisories from charities to avoid doing it. So should there be a law here to clarify it? Because as I said a moment ago, you know, everyone knows their own kids, and so don't judge someone else's children from outside because you don't know whether they're capable of looking after themselves.
There's so many different circumstances, like you say, and there's so many different scenarios and where you live and where you are and whether you've got, you know, a neighbour and whether you're, you know, I live in a village. I know most of the people in the village. The school is in another village. Again, I trust people. I trust people to, you know, keep an eye on them. And I'll say if I go into the post office, sorry, I've got two in the car, I'm just going to be really, really quick, can I just buy a stamp? And it's not a big deal where we live. So making that illegal just seems insane to me, personally.
Final word.
I think parents need clarification. I think it's a very loose law. It's open to a lot of interpretation. Parents don't know what they should be doing. I do think it's neglectful. I do. So I think there should be a law against it. People go mad when a dog's left, but they don't seem to mind leaving their children.
I almost feel more about a dog because you can't really explain to a dog, but I can say to my 10-year-old, I'll be 5 minutes. He knows I'll be 5 minutes.
All right.
He's got his phone.
People do
feel worse about
Thank you very much. We're going to have to leave it there. Thank you for coming in today.
Very interested to know what you've got to say.
Yeah, we'll read some of those.